Sponsored by the Smoky Valley Historical Association. I am Elston Flohr, a member of the faculty in the Department of English Theater and Speech at Bethany College, a member of the board of the Historical Association, and director of its Oral History Project. Today, January 21st, 1986, I am pleased to be speaking with A. Ray Peterson, who is a descendant of an early minister in the area, August Peterson, who was a minister of the Covenant Church in Salemsborg. Ray has also had a lot of experiences in the First World War. About these things he is going to speak to us today. We appreciate very much his willingness to share his experiences with us. First, Ray, I would like to ask you what you know about your grandfather in Sweden.
The only thing I know from what my folks told me, that he drowned in the lake. When they found him, his pockets were full of eels.
Oh, this is what your father told you?
Yes.
And where in Sweden did he live?
They lived in Arvika, Värmland.
Arvika, Värmland. And so he drowned in a lake.
That's right.
Was he fishing? You don't know? Or?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea.
And your father, August Peterson, then he would have been from Arvika.
That's right.
In Värmland.
That's
Sweden,
right.
too.
Both my father and mother.
Do you know about when he came to America?
They said, but I don't remember now.
I see. Where did he first go in America?
Well, he held a church in Lanyon, Iowa, northern Iowa, in Webster County. And that's where I was born.
What was the name of the town again?
Lanyon, L-A-N-Y-O-N.
Lanyon, Iowa. Had your father been a covenant minister in Sweden?
No, I think not. I think probably not to any degree. But he was a minister for 70 years over here.
Did he take any training in this country then?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think so. In them days they took much of a training. But he knew the Bible. He could hold the Bible and quote chapter after chapter after chapter.
So he was somewhat of a lay minister, lay preacher.
Well, yes, you might say that would be now.
And then he, from Iowa, then he came to Kansas.
That's right.
And where did he serve in Kansas?
Well, we moved to Smolin, Kansas, and he served a church 2 miles south of Smolin.
Which would have been a covenant.
That's right.
A covenant church.
It's a mile north of the Salemsborg Lutheran Church over there.
That building would not be in existence anymore.
And then they moved the church to Smolin.
They moved the church to Smolin.
Well, they didn't move it. They moved the congregation.
They moved the congregation to Smolin. Is there a covenant church still in Smolin?
No, there's no church in Smolin. You know, when the World War II broke out, or they took so much land around there.
I see.
It broke up all the churches there.
Yes, and as well as a lot of the farmers were misplaced. Do you remember any interesting stories in connection with your father's ministry in that covenant church in Salemsborg?
Well, I don't remember any particular Salemsborg, but he was a minister in Burlington, Iowa one while, which was a river town on the Mississippi River. And it was a tough town. An old Swede tramp came over one day, and he was so hungry. And Dad's wages weren't anything to speak of, nothing large, you know. So he gave him $1. And afterwards, Dad went uptown, and lo and behold, he was right behind this guy, and this guy walked in the saloon. It's the only time I seen my dad really mad.
But it must have been kind of rough for him when he was a minister in the Salemsborg area.
Well, no, they got along very well there. They had no trouble whatsoever.
Was he a minister then there until his death?
No, he retired and lived in Smolin, and then they moved to Salina.
I see.
That's where he died.
I see. And you remember any, I've understood that there were tornadoes and droughts and things. You don't remember anything how that might have affected?
Well, tornadoes I remember very well, especially when we lived in Burlington, Iowa. We went fishing one day, my brother and my dad and I, and it was down below Crapo Park. And that was along the railroad that run from Burlington Highway to Fort Madison.
Mhm.
And my brother says, Dad, he says, isn't that a tornado cloud up there? Dad says, I hope not. But I noticed he kept watching.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden we heard a roar, and the river's about a mile and a half wide there. There's an island out there, probably a quarter of a mile from where we were. And here that thing come down right on that island and went northeast. We run under a culvert, under the track and sat. And you want to see the water spout that caused as he went over to the Illinois side. And when it hit Illinois, why, it got black as ink in the mud and everything. And the open boats came floating around that tornado just pretty as you please.
The open boats?
Yeah,
Oh.
on the outside whirl of the thing.
What river would that have been?
The Mississippi River. And the enclosed boats, they were in pieces.
Oh.
And we read afterwards it went into Illinois, knocked trains off track, and killed an awful lot of people. And I've been scared of tornadoes ever since.
I would imagine. Was your father pretty good at getting the congregation to contribute money to keep the church going?
Well, them days, you know, they would bring food. People didn't have a lot of money them days. And they were very liberal. And it went some or another up. And we kids had to help support them too. But we lived through it.
Now, when was your father married?
Well, he was married in Sweden.
Oh, he came with his...
yeah, with his wife over here.
Did they have any children in Sweden when they came?
I think they had and lost some of them. There was I forget the name, Ephraim or something, and maybe one or two.
And who was your mother?
Well, her name was a Johnson.
A Johnson.
And she was a school teacher in Arvika, from what I understood.
A school teacher in Arvika in Värmland,
Yeah.
Sweden. What was her first name?
Augusta.
Augusta Johnson, I see. Now, their children. How many children did they? You said that some.
Well, there were 5 boys and 3 girls, and the 2 children passed away.
Who were the sons?
Well, it was Theodore, Paul, Milton, Vincent, and myself.
Where did you come in the as far as age is concerned?
Well,
Was Theodore the oldest?
Paul was older than I, and Ted was older than I. I guess I was about 3rd. And I had 2 younger than I.
Vincent and Milton. Did they? What happened to your brothers then?
Well, Milton died about 2 years ago. He had a monument company in Dodge City. Vincent's still alive, and Paul died in California. He was married in Iowa to a girl in Iowa, and they moved to California. And Ted, we lost track of him.
I see. He lived here in the Salemsborg area first.
Well, no, he was a call boy in Burlington for the CB&Q Railroad.
Oh.
And then he went down south, and I don't know if he had a sudden death. We never heard from him.
Never did hear from him. And Vincent, what's...
well, he's the one that has Memorial Art Company in
Salina.
He's younger than I am.
I see. Does he still operate the...
the boys, he's got 3 good boys there that operate.
That operate with the Memorial Art...
Yeah, well, they have all their monuments on 9th Street.
Yeah, and what about your sisters?
Well, I have one sister left. She's in the Marquette rest home. They wouldn't take her. She was in a wheelchair then. They wouldn't take him in either at that time, but Marquette did. And that's the reason she's there.
What is her name?
Dean.
Dean. Was she married?
Yes, to a Matson.
A Matson. I see. And then you had 2 other sisters.
Well, Edna died at 11 years old from inflammatory rheumatism. And Otelia buried Ed Fair. And they lived in Hoising. They both passed.
Ed Fair.
And
they F-E-H-R.
F-E-H-R.
And they lived in Hoisington.
That's right.
I see. Now, were all of these children then born in Iowa?
Yes. There's none of them born here in Kansas.
All their children were born.
See, we moved to Kansas in 1909.
That's when your father came to Salem. Oh, so he really then wasn't a very early
Kansas. No. Kansas was blamed for all the evil winds we had. Southwest hot winds.
Yes. Now, when were you born?
I was born February 11th, 1895.
February 11th, 1895. So that makes you how old now?
I'll be 91 11th of February.
The 91, the 11th of February. And you were born then again, what was the name of the place? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Lanyon, Iowa.
Lanyon, Iowa.
Webster County.
Okay. Well, do you remember anything about your early childhood, your school days and things?
Oh, yes. I do. I went to school in Burlington, Iowa. And we had a teacher by the name of Miss McKittrick. And there's a woman who works here that looks exactly like her. I still call her Miss McKittrick. And then I went to school in Essex, Iowa. And I stayed out on the farm quite a bit of the time. When school was out, there's a spring wagon sitting there with a suitcase of my clothes in it. Out the country I went. And
so you worked as on the farm?
Yeah,
as a young man.
in the summer. And I remember this was in Essex, Iowa, and the Wright brothers were coming to fly at the Shenandoah Fair. And the day before we
The Wright brothers?
Yes.
Oh, how interesting.
And the day before, the farmers said, we're going to Shenandoah and see them uncrate their plane. Which we did. We parked out alongside the road and they were out there crawling around, uncrating their plane. Next day they were to fly. We had to fly. We went to Shenandoah and there they were. They finally took off and their plane came to a V shape this way. And they flew over a tree and a branch caught here. And there they went back and forth. Firemen got up and cut the branch off and down to the ground they went. And that was
the
flight
the extent of it. That's all that they managed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's something to brag about.
Well, people don't hardly believe it. But you know when you're 91 years old, why?
Yes. Okay. Any other interesting stories about your life in Iowa?
Well, just a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. We got up 3:45 in the morning, had 200 head of hogs. We changed horses at noon, but not men. We was out slopping hogs all noon. Kept on the field as long as we could see, go home and milk the cows and separate and feed the calves. And it was about 11:15 before we ever got to bed.
So you would have been about 14 when you moved to Kansas?
That's right.
About
9 and 5.
Yeah. Then, when you first came to Kansas, then, as a 14-year-old, do you remember anything about your experiences then?
Well, yes, I got a job. My brother-in-law was a carpenter. And I worked with him in Salina as a carpenter.
Now, this brother-in-law, what was his name?
Matson, August Matson.
August Peterson.
Married a sister who lives in Bethany. And I remember one thing. Being a preacher's boy, they were always ordering anybody else so they can do the same thing as anybody else. And one Saturday night I came home and I was going to walk out home 2 miles, but it was raining. I went in the store there and stood with Charlie Danielson as long as he was open. Joel Brown had the barber shop, so when the store closed, I went into the barber shop. Finally, he closed. I went up to the dance hall and sat in the foyer. And I was going to ride with Milton Gustafson home. He went right by my place. And the next day, of course, my phone rang. My mother Rutherford and Judith Nilsson calling her mother, and she says, "Don isn't sitting to dance." Oh, the preacher's boy was there. Who was that? Ray Peterson. I can see my mother's
Yes, okay. Then you worked in Marquette.
I worked in the mill there.
Beginning in what year?
Well, that was right after I came back from the war. And
well, didn't you work there before? Like in 1914?
Well, yes, I hauled oil there. Then until I got drafted. And then I sold out. And then when I came back, I worked with Bill Barkley as a carpenter.
Now, we'll ask more detail, but then somewhere along in this period you were married.
That's right. We was married in 1918. Right after I was married, off to France I went. World War I. That's where I spent my honeymoon in France.
Now your wife's name?
Gunhild Austenberg was her name.
Gunhild Austenberg.
Her brother was superintendent of schools in Salina and one in McPherson.
Oh. Can you tell me anything more about her family?
Well, they just had 3 boys and then Gunhild, my wife.
Austenberg. What was her father's first name?
Henry
Austenberg. Was he a farmer?
Oh, yes.
Where did he farm?
Well, I'll tell you, he farmed on that, you heard about this Hanson place at Marquette, perhaps. He'd sue everybody for it had anything to do with it.
No, I hadn't heard.
And they rented his farm, and he was the old man was a good farmer. In fact, I know when the boys picked a load of corn in the morning, 3 of them before they went to school. Excuse me. And if it's too muddy to cultivate, the boys have to walk up and down the rows and pull the weeds. He was a good farmer.
Yes. Now she was an only daughter.
Yes, that's right.
And there were 3 brothers?
3 brothers.
What were their first names?
Oscar, Joe, and Walter.
Did they settle around here then?
Well, one of them was superintendent schools in Salina, and the other in McPherson. And Walter got Parkinson's disease, and they moved to Dodge City. Joe died in McPherson. Oscar died in Great Bend.
So the Austenberg father, would not have come to this area very early then, would he?
No.
He was a later arrival here. Okay. Well, you worked some in, what was Marquette like in those years that you worked there?
It was a wonderful town. Saturday nights before TV came in, you couldn't hardly have room on the streets. And then after TV came in on Saturday nights, everybody stayed home and looked at that junk. Which is a lot of junk.
Yeah. Were there more stores than what there are now in Marquette?
Yes, I think there was. I know there was.
Yeah. Now, when were you drafted into the Army?
It was in May, I believe, if I remember right. In fact, I was drafted and went to Funston.
In 1918? 1918.
They took us out on the range where I used to hunt a lot.
That was after you'd been married?
Yes, right after I was married.
You were married in 1918?
Yeah. And they took us out on the range where I used to hunt a lot, and I blew the bullseye right out of the target. Fellow come put his arm on my shoulder. He says, "You're ready to go Fort Dodge Highway. We owe them some soldiers that's going across. And you're one of them we're going to pay back." So I went to Fort Dodge Highway. My wife came up there. My father had a half-brother there. And she was there about a week. Finally, we marched off. She was standing right alongside of me crying. Because I marched at attention by her, but I did stick out and give her a good kiss.
Yeah, that was at Fort Dodge Island.
Yeah.
And then you took a train then to what place of embarkation? What, New Jersey or?
New Jersey, Hoboken, I believe it was.
Hoboken?
Yeah.
Hoboken, New Jersey.
And we were 2 weeks going across on the Vedic, way up past Newfoundland. And we licked salt off our lips there for 2 weeks. And then we came into Liverpool, and then down to Plymouth, and then across the Channel to Hard, and I had the flu. And we had an 8-mile hike up a mountainous country. And I didn't want to lose my company. I struggled along, and finally was going to rest, and then come up a rainstorm. And we got up there, we finally made it. I laid down the tent with my pack on the back, and I seen they had pigs there. And I told the guy, get in my pocket and go get them pigs. I ate figs till living.
Yeah. Now we have a painting here, a montage that was painted by Lee Becker of some of your war experiences. We also have some pictures. Now this picture here is
that's when we was going across at Liverpool.
When you arrived in Liverpool.
Yeah. And here these people with straw hats, they're the people, English Bloody blind with an Englishman, like they said.
Yeah. And they're watching the arrival
Yeah,
of the
that's right.
American, where you were called doughboys.
Doughboys, that's right.
Why the expression doughboys?
I don't know where that ever originated. I don't know. It, I suppose it was just a name given them for some reason, and I never could figure it out myself. I never thought too much about it.
I'll have to see if I can find that. So you landed in Liverpool, and then from Liverpool you went to Plymouth, England.
And then across the channel to the Har, and then up on the, we call the rest camp, rest your stomach.
You remember the name of the ship that you went over on?
Yeah, Vedic.
The what?
The Vedic,
The
an English freighter.
Vedic.
How
do you spell that?
I think it's Vedic.
Vedic, an English freighter.
Yeah.
I see.
And we came back on the Pastorus, which was sunk shortly afterwards.
The Pastorus?
The Pastorus.
Pastorris. Okay. Now, something, I know you had a lot of experiences there during the war, and here is, well, on the, the top part of the painting here, where your face is circled, is that's from the picture of your arrival in Liverpool?
Liverpool, that's right. And here's guys with the straw hat, which you see here on that.
On that first painting.
They've got it in two parts there, see?
Yeah. She's made a montage. So these are the straw hats in the painting. Yeah. Now, what was your work what kind of service did you do in France?
Well, I hold ammunition, hold it up the front. Now, the peculiar thing about it is I can't yet figure out. These ammunition dumps were in woods. And them trees would be 40, 50 foot high. And then
what again, the trees?
Yes, and they'd have screen over them. And then the camouflage them with grass tied on the screen. How they ever got it there, I still can't figure out. We'd enter this woods and our trail would go crooked, you know. So the airplanes couldn't follow us at all. And then the ammunition was in the ground, and we'd load it up, bring it to the front, if it's possible. Sometimes we couldn't get all the way to the front, but most of the time we could. And I remember, and then we'd go back to where they had a bunch of prisoners, pick them up and haul them to prison camps. All hundreds of prisoners over there.
To prison camps. And what kind of arms did you carry?
Well, I had a rifle. It was hanging on a truck behind me here.
It doesn't show in the picture, though.
No.
It hang on the truck behind you.
Yeah, on the right side.
And that is actually a picture of you.
Yes. That's a demonstrance.
And this was called an ammunition truck.
That's right. The FWD, four-wheel drive. Solid tires. And when we got to the front, we couldn't have no lights at night. You'd sit there and look and see a road wherever you looked. And then they had little markers along the road, so many miles to Pagnishamoose or St. Mihiel or wherever you were going.
I see.
And don't think that wasn't cold. No windshield, no top.
I would imagine. Now, what outfits did you provide ammunition for?
Oh, we hauled for pretty near every outfit. You know, there was a great need for trucks. And we'd hauled to one front first. We was down St. Mihiel. And I remember they had iron shutters that thick in front of the windows. And they was so pierced with bullets, it looked like the end of a salt and pepper shaker. Went through that iron that thick. You go through trees that thick, you know. And in Meuse, Aragon, the trees were gunned down 12, 14 foot high. They brought big cans up on flat cars. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Did you ever get near the men in trenches? In the trenches?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Any other exciting details about your experienced during the war? Close calls or?
Well, yes, I remember one time I was driving, going on north, and there's a big embankment there with woods on top of it. And there a German stood with a rifle. He could have killed me just like that. But they had had to drive, and he had climbed up the tree, and they bypassed him. And he was about starved, so he came down and sat down by me, and I took him to prison camp so he got something to eat.
Oh, so it was practically a surrender then?
Yeah.
Surrendered to you.
And also after the war, I hauled films.
That was after the armistice was signed?
Yeah.
What did you do then in France?
I hauled films around. I didn't show them. Other people showed them. And I got downwards on the ark, down the Ray. So I was in the house where she was born, seen her cradle and the whole house. A little ways north was her church. I went in there and at Mavages, where she was supposed to have been burned at the stake, which was not true. But she was buried there. She was not
It
burned.
wasn't true that she was burned?
No, she was never burned at the stake. That's a story that went out and passed on, but they claimed that was just as...
They claimed that in France. When you were there, they told you that?
That it was untrue. And I was at the cemetery where she was at Mavages, just a little ways off.
Oh.
But that was interesting. I thought very interesting.
I would imagine it would have been. You said you hauled films. What kind of films?
Well, they just showed about America. You know, that film showing the French people
Oh,
better ways of doing things, maybe.
I see.
What-
Educational.
Yeah, education.
And so about how long after the armistice? Oh, I don't remember. When was the armistice signed?
11th of
November.
November.
In 19... what?
Well, they had a false armistice there. And I remember I had a airplane trailer on the back of my truck. And it was raining. So I put up a tent back there. And laid in there and slept. They never park us in town, outside town. During the night, here a blue-coated man crawled in with me, a Frenchman, a drunk. He'd been in town, he crawled in with me. I said, party tout sweet.
Parquet, tout sweet.
Party.
Party.
Get out of here right quick.
Yeah, tout sweet. I'm familiar with that. Then we have another picture here. This is of...
This is Harry Adele, and that's myself, and we came back from France, taken in New York. And they put me on KP in the kitchen. I told Harry, I said, listen, I want to know where you sleep. I was on there for 2 hours, and I went in the locker there and cut steaks that big and fried them, and we had one good meal.
Now this was taken in New York?
Yeah.
And right after you returned?
Yeah.
Now, are you on the right?
I'm on the right.
On the right, and Harry...
On the left.
Adele.
That's Edith Nordine's brother.
Edith Nordine's brother, I see. Two returning doughboys.
Yeah, doughboys, without dough.
Without the dough. Okay. You remember anything, details about you said you came back on the Pastores.
And it got
Was that
sunk.
also a freighter?
Yeah, and it got sunk going back the way I understood it. I read it in the paper in fact afterwards.
What was, well, both going over and coming back, how did you sleep on board that freighter?
Well, we had hammocks.
Hammocks?
And going over is quite smooth. We went way off of Newfoundland and took us 2 weeks to go across. Come back, we come back in about 7 days. But we had one of the worst storms that they had that summer, they said. The propeller would get out of the water, you know, the heavy waves.
Yeah.
And the thing would vibrate till you thought it was going to sink sometimes.
Did you get sick?
He asked, and I was bad to some guys. I remember a man there named John Engel. He was probably 6 foot 6 inches tall, big heavy man. And they had me sawing wood with a circle saw. And some other men too. And this man, he was free and he'd eaten chocolate and tomatoes. And he lay there and throwed up, you know.
Chocolate and tomatoes.
Yeah, beautiful color.
Not a very good combination.
He kept throwing up, and I said, John, you're not sick, are you? Give me my rifle, I'll shoot you.
Did you see, remember any of the nurses during the World War? First World War?
Well, yes. I'll tell you what I remember. That was for the officers. We see them dancing with the nurses.
Yes. Yeah, the officers and the nurses, I
Yeah.
see.
Another thing, the Salvation Army was and the Knights of Columbus, best two outfits over there. Salvation Army, when it was quiet in the trenches, they'd bring donuts and cocoa down there at the boys.
In the
And,
trenches.
Yeah, it was not too far away, you know. They were wonderful. And Knights of Columbus never sold you anything, they gave it to you. But the YMCA and Red Cross, I have so little use for them. I remember we come back from the front and I stepped in line to get something to eat. There's an officer ahead of me. When he got through, now we're closed. And that really burned us down.
Did they charge?
Oh yeah, you had to pay.
But not for the Red Cross. You had to pay.
Oh yes, well Salvation Army, you had to pay, but it's very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
But you said that there was privileges given to officers in the.
Oh yeah, they had the inside.
In the other cases. Then, well, when were you discharged from the service, and where?
I was discharged in, let's see, I came back to Camp Funston, and there's a bayonet that I had.
You have a bayonet.
Yeah, that's hanging on the wall there. I had that in the war. And my gas mask is up at the museum, and I have my helmet.
Smoky,
up here, yeah.
the Lindsborg Museum, South Park. Okay.
And that's where this stuff is going someday, too. So,
okay. And again, what was it? You came back to, you were discharged at Funston. That was in what year and what?
that was 1919.
1919. And then you came back, of course, to this area.
That's I came back to Marquette.
And your wife, in the meantime, was living there in Marquette?
Yeah, she was teaching school. I had been teaching school. And then White Eagle called me and wanted me to take over the White Eagle here at Lindsborg, which I did, and run it for 20 years here.
The White Eagle
oil company.
Oil company. That was a
gasoline.
But that wasn't a station; it was delivery.
Well, I filled stations. See, we had one. Where this place on the east side, and then I forget it was on the west side now. And then I had a pump over at Leafs, and I had just a couple of McPherson, 2 at Bridgeport, and then the Farmers. You had to bucket all the gasoline them days.
Where was your station? Where did you deliver from?
Well, it was down by the Farmers Union. Right across the Farmers Union is where the bulk station was.
Is that on Lincoln Street? Lincoln? Or State Street?
State.
State, a block north of Lincoln. That's where the Eagles station
No, that's where our bulk station was. And then Lee Wardell had a station on Main and State. And then the White Eagle had a station right across. That's what's in there now? Some loan company or something.
Oh, the First Federal Savings, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. And then Leaf had a station up there, a couple blocks south there. I had a pump there to furnish. I had 2 at Bridgeport, 1 at McPherson, and then Hood's the Farmers.
Yes.
And I won first prize 5 years straight for the biggest increase in sales in the whole Southern Division.
Now,
But I worked day and night.
how many years did you work?
20 years.
20 years. That was before or after your work at Camp Phillips? When did you work at Camp Phillips?
Well, that's in World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
That was after you did your White Eagle. Tell us about your service at Camp Phillips.
Well, I was with 3,000 German prisoners over there. And it was very interesting. For instance, now there was one young fellow there that was a prisoner. His father was a machinist in Sweden. And of course, Hitler needed machinists over there. And they moved to Germany and took out their neutralization papers. And the boy got into war, was captured. He came out here at Camp Phillips. He was a Swede. He followed me around like a little pup. I said, "You're the most foolish Swede I've ever seen to get into this deal." And then I had the picture here.
Oh, you got a couple more pictures. that's from your Camp Phillips.
Yeah. Now here, this fellow here, he was under my care. He was a
Yeah.
prisoner.
Yeah, we'll have to,
And
this was the, this,
Adolf Bodeman.
this was the German prisoner of war.
Yeah.
But he was actually a Swede, you said?
No, he wasn't. He
Oh.
wasn't. But here, when he went back, he got married and he sent me the picture. See here?
Oh, yes. As a remembrance of my wedding day, April 6th, I don't know the year.
I can't read that
Yeah.
either.
Adolf, what's his name?
Bodeman.
Bodeman. Adolf Bodeman.
And here he is, he and his wife.
That's another picture of his
Uh-huh. And here's the relatives. Here he is, and one of these, this one here's his wife and his grandparents. And I sat in boxes over there.
That's a German family picture.
And the last letter I had from him, he had moved to Frankfurt. And by gum, they put the stamp right where the return address was.
Oh, really?
So
So you had no way of.
No.
Now, who was it? Who was it that made this?
Herman Regier, he was a prisoner up there. Isn't that some carving?
Yeah. And he carved that out of what kind of wood?
I don't know. It's pine, I
Yeah,
think.
there's an initial on the back.
Herman Regier.
H.R.
Yeah.
And it says carved by Herman Regier.
1944, I think. Something like that.
What's that? In prison?
Prison camp, maybe.
Prison in Camp
Phillips.
Phillips.
I got two of them. I gave one to a relative of mine.
Northwest 2. What does that mean?
Huh?
It says Camp Phillips in NW2. I don't know.
Let's see.
It says
Camp Phillips. Carved by.
in NW.
Uh-huh.
Then there's a 2 below it. I don't know.
World War II.
Oh, World War.
World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
I see. And it's got this HR.
Uh-huh.
And it's just simply, it's an Indian, USA. And,
It's really good carving, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Kansas. Now, any other experiences you remember from your work in Camp Phillips? You were a guard, were you?
Yeah, I was in there with 3,000 Germans.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I had a lot of experiences there. One time I was up fixing they'd wind one ladder up and they'd catch the other, see?
Uh-huh.
And they made them sprockets out of wood.
Uh-huh.
Then they'd let the handle go and they'd bust them, right? But in new ones. One day I was up there and here one of the Germans crawled on the fence and crawled another. The guard says, "What am I going to do?" I says, "I'm not your commanding officer." And finally they shot him right through his rear here.
Uh-huh.
Before he went down and through the thick of his leg here. And they finally got him. And why the rest of the prisoners didn't run and stop him from climbing that fence, I don't know. Another thing, they had pigeons there and they flew kites. I says, "Why do you fly kites?" They said, "So Hitler will know when he captures his country where the prison camps are." I says, "He really got you sold." And then they had doves and corn mash. And they'd walk into the walk-in freezers and stick ice picks into the copper tubing. And then when we'd get them replaced, they said, "Could we have them copper tubings? We want to make tuning forks out of them." Lo and behold, they had corn mash for their pigeons too, see. I come there one Monday morning, they had made a steel under the kitchen out of corn mash and them tubes.
That's what they wanted the tubing for. It's very interesting. I see that we forgot to. You have another memento. You've talked about the sword that is on the wall. We don't have that here, but tell us a story about this cane.
Well, I was sitting in a boxcar. You see, them boxcars were small, and we just slowly moving out of a town. And this old Frenchman, he was standing there waving, this way. And I sat there with my legs hanging down. I jerked it away from him. And he says, "Power bound American goods for," another word I won't say. And we had corned beef, whole box of it there. I threw out 7 cans, a pound in each can to him. Then he did this way. And I sat on the ship in Cardiff, coming home. 1918 is when it was France. That's when I got it, see.
Yeah.
World War I, A. Ray Peterson. I wouldn't take $100 for that.
No, I should say no. And why do they have that sharp
Well,
point?
tell you, everybody walked over there.
Uh-huh.
Another thing, they had their canals there. And then they'd have tow paths. And they'd pull these boats with donkeys down these tow paths.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I can tell you something else, if this lady could stand it. I don't mean to get vulgar. But I went through town hauling ammunition. A man and woman walked up to a wall and they had a gutter there. This man stopped there and urinated in this gutter, and I thought my eyes would fall out of my head.
Uh-huh.
But that was as common over there as
Oh, yes.
you just couldn't believe it, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that even in the Second World War, I believe it was like that.
Yeah.
You could see those things. Okay. Now, after the Second World War, you went into another business.
After the Second World War, I went selling monuments.
Selling money. Was that for your brother?
Yeah. I sold monuments. Well, I run the Hutchison place for 10 years, displayed them at the fair and everything. And things can be almost peculiar there. I was in Sterling one day, and a lady named Mrs. Smith had lost her husband. And she lived east of town, and I drove out there. As I came out there, well, she came out the water well. I got out and very politely introduced myself and said, Mrs. Smith, I know you had the misfortune of losing your husband. And I wondered if you planned on placing me more at his grave. She says, that old reprobate, I sure remember him without putting his name in stone. And I said, well, maybe you had some reprobate friends that would enjoy. You'd place it there so that they could find the grave. Well, they can put the darn thing there, she said. And then I went over to the Baldwin Gleaner dealer over there. Mr. Matten sold one for $3,300. The 3-crypt mausoleum.
To who?
Baldwin Gleaner.
Oh.
Sterling.
You sold that?
Yeah, $3,300.
Now, your sales work took you all over the state of Kansas then, didn't you?
I was, I worked out of Dodge City one year. I was on Colorado. I was out in Oklahoma, up in Nebraska, out to Wild Horse, Kit Carson. And the funny thing is, I don't care where I ate. It was string beans every darn dinner and supper. That's why I can't look at them. And we still get them here.
String beans.
Yeah.
Yes. Then, well, you must have put on an awful lot of miles on your cars.
Well, I put on 96,000 miles out west one year. At 1 year when I traded off, and I've had 39 trucks and cars. You see, I'd run them a year and trade for $700-800 to boot. You can't do that anymore.
What were some of the models that you would?
Well, I had LTDs, and I had a Mercury. I had Buicks. I had several Buicks. I had Oldsmobiles, and there's one car I had, a beautiful looking car, Kaiser.
Kaiser.
But I had to grind valves on it every week, so I trade that off. And somebody told me that thing by that now been worth $32,000.
Yes, as a
Relic.
kind of relative car. Yes.
So.
Well, did you have? See, I don't know about when you. Did you have any like a Willis or some of those older makes?
No, one of the best cars I ever had was a 6-cylinder '58 Chevrolet with an overdrive. I had a peculiar incident when I worked in Highway. I worked east of Stanton Highway, and a lady run the store there. Her and her husband, they went broke, and I met them in 1907. And lo and behold, I got acquainted with her, and now she's here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's here, and I always go over and tell her. I says, "Well, Mrs. Swenson, I guess I'll have to wheel you to Stanton Highway, won't I?" And
and you first met her when?
In Stanton, 1907.
1907.
1907. Rather interesting.
Yeah, almost 80 years ago.
Yeah. And then I sold her a marker, and Hilding Anderson went with me, double marker. I put it in the trunk, and we drove up there, Stanton. And we was there 2.5 hours to set it, and I was back here before it was dark that afternoon.
Oh, it was a big trip, quick
Yeah.
trip. Well, we certainly do thank you for very interesting accounts of your
I
experiences.
don't know how interesting it was.
In your life.
It's a lot of things happened, 91 years.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for one thing. I see well, hear well, I can drive anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And you still are able to get out when the weather's nice.
Yeah. But this emphysema, we sent over gas on the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung my gas mask up on a tree a little ways, and the wind turned, and I got a couple of whiffs, and that's all it took.
That's what has caused your emphysema?
Yeah, that's the whole beginning.
That's certainly too bad.
Well, it could be worse if I had no lungs at all. So,
Yeah, right.
at 91 years, I've lived my life. And I'll have to show you a picture of my wife. I missed her. She's been dead 9 months now. I guess I found it. Here it is. This is my wife right here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest, is it the,
That's
who else is in the picture?
Well, the Mrs. Keel. I don't know the others. That's a church picture.
Mm-hmm. And you have one daughter, right?
One daughter's married here to Glenn Denny.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Ray,
well, the trouble was all yours.
Okay.
And this is my mother-in-law,
Oh, yes.
a good old gal too.
Austenberg.